4 months after the messy U.S. withdrawal from Afghanistan, a mix of sanctions, drought, and terrorism has brought Afghanistan once again to the brink of collapse. ABC's senior foreign correspondent Ian Pannell is back in the country, and what he found is a humanitarian crisis that is growing by the day.
Welcome to the new Afghanistan, where Taliban flags flutter over the city markets and murals with the slogans, "With the help of God, our nation defeated America," painted along the city walls. But 4 months after the US withdrawal, the country's collapsing before our eyes, whether or not we choose to see it. The militants who took over are struggling to control a growing ISIS insurgency and a rapidly unfolding humanitarian crisis. The last time we were at Kabul airport, it was controlled by the US military. But today, it's these fighters, the Taliban, armed with US-made M4 rifles. However, having forced the Americans and NATO to withdraw from the country, they're now having to battle an insurgency of their own against ISIS. We sat down with Taliban BADRI commander MULAWI Mohammed Salim SAAD to discuss their looming crisis.
What is the problem here? Why are things so bad right now?
It needs more time. We will have a good government, but it needs more time.
The economy's tanking. Banks are closed or limiting access to funds. Foreign aid from the US, Europe and others that kept the country afloat has largely been frozen. Salaries are unpaid and unemployment is through the roof. Men like Jawad are reduced to ruin. A former student at Kabul University, he's been waiting outside every day for the past 3 months, hoping just to get some work.
At night, I am crying. Because of that there is no one to listen us. What should I do? I don't know about my future.
Mass unemployment exacerbates a growing hunger crisis. Thousands of Afghans line up throughout Kabul for food, like this former shop owner. It's his third time coming to this food distribution centre. According to the UN, as many as 90% of the population could face poverty by next year. But hunger and starvation are already here. According to the UN, 55% of the population faces extreme levels of hunger, and for one of its most vulnerable populations, children, they warn 1 million could starve to death this winter. The Indira Gandhi Hospital is the only one in the country dedicated to caring for children. Its wards are now overrun with malnourished children, emaciated and sick, with bloated bellies and limbs, so young and yet already fighting for their lives. It's difficult to watch, but their lives may depend on the world not turning away. This hospital was completely reliant on foreign aid, but international communities are refusing to provide financial assistance directly to the Taliban, and it's the weakest who suffer the most. And toddlers like Mohammed Chakri are unable to get the treatment they need.
Little Mohammed here is absolutely tiny. He's 2 years old. He weighs just about 11 to 12 pounds. He should weigh something much closer to around 30. He's just skin and bone. His mother doesn't have the money to get the medicine that he needs, and the UN says it's about to get much worse.
Some staff have even used their own money to help pay for patient fees. But many hospital workers have also gone without salaries for 4 months, and they too are desperate for money. One of the reasons assets are frozen is the Taliban's treatment of women and girls. Many women have been forced out of their jobs, and of the 4.2 million young Afghans already out of school, 60% of them are girls. The mural on the wall outside the now closed Ministry for Women says it all. Black paint sprayed over the mouth of a woman daring to proclaim freedom. ZAHRA NABI is a journalist in Kabul. She used to have a staff of 50 at her studios. But since the Taliban took over, she's the last one still working. ZAHRA spends her time documenting the untold stories of women around the country.
Explain why you didn't leave.
For me, it's really boring to sit in somewhere and just wait. And it's really killing me. It's better to be in the field of war instead of to sit at some peace place and just watching what's going on. It's really, for me, it's really hard.
Afghanistan's her homeland, and despite the dangers and being offered a visa in Europe, she refuses to leave.
I really worked very hard to achieve this, at least. The community will accept me, so it couldn't make me like only these things, it couldn't make me go back.
But for most women, like Satara, their dreams are dead. And working and studying now remains out of the question.
This was your show?
Yes.
Satara used to be an anchor for a local news channel, Bano TV. It was shut down when the Taliban came to town.
One day you will do this again.
I don't think. ما پیشترم گفتم که اگر شرایط همه قسم باشه دیگه چون رسانه ما کاملا بسته شد همه تیت و پراگنده شدن دیگه فکر نمیکنم که من به روزای خود دوباره بر بگردم.
Satara and her 13-year-old sister ZAHRA, who was deemed too old to go to school, are now trapped inside their home, rarely venturing out anymore, and playing with her friends, now a thing of the past.
What would you say to children your age elsewhere in the world? What would you tell them about what life is like in Afghanistan today?
احساس می است که درس خدا بخوانن تا که به جای برسن وطن خدا آباد کنن.
Why is that your message?
به خاطر که ما سر خود تجربه کردیم مکتب نیست آدم بسیار دق میاره و نمیتونه از خانه برای.
But in a rare act of defiance, some underground schools are springing up. Classes being held in secret. Even in the darkness, a small light still glows.
This is an incredible thing to witness. There are a dozen girls here, all teenagers. At the moment, they're doing math. They're also learning English. The kind of things that everyone's kids take for granted. The only way they can do it is by doing it in secret, in private, and risking the wrath of the Taliban. This is illegal. Why are you running a school and risking everything?
ما آسیا احمدی هستم کارمند دولت هم بودم و گوینده بودم در یکی از تلویزیون‌ها و همچنان کارشناس در مسائل حقوقی و شهری خانم‌ها هم بودم در تلویزیون‌ها.
Are you worried by coming to school?
A little, because of Taliban.
But why do you come?
I want to become a good doctor in the future and I want to continue my education because when fall old government and become new regime to now schools are closed and girls cannot go to school. Of course, we want to read.
But hope is a dwindling force here as the weather closes in and hunger stalks the land. For many, the winter ahead promises to be a long, dark and desperate battle simply to stay alive.
So much uncertainty and so much at stake. Ian Pannell joins us now. Ian, you've certainly been in and out of Afghanistan for much of the last 2 decades. Does the Taliban seem different than the group that the U.S. kicked out of power 20 years ago?
I mean, on one level, it doesn't seem different. I think that's part of the problem. This is an organization that was equipped for the last century rather than this century, and Afghanistan has changed dramatically in the last 20 years. Crucially, it's not equipped financially. 75% of all public expenditure in the last government was effectively paid for by the US taxpayer and other taxpayers. That money has now been frozen. Around $10 billion in assets that belong to the last Afghan government has also been frozen. So this is a government that effectively has no budget and can't meet the needs of the people. On one level, they're quite naive in the way that they appeal to the United States and the international community to come to their aid. They don't seem to recognize that they won't get that legitimacy because they came to power through the barrel of the gun. And until those two things are met, it's the people on the ground that will suffer. And I think the challenge tonight for the international community is how much do you hold out hoping that the Taliban will make concessions, will change, and risk the impact that that's going to have on vulnerable children like little Mohammed that we saw in the report there.
And so critical that you are shining a light on those young people there. Ian, thank you so much to you and also the team for your outstanding reporting.
Hi, everyone. George Stephanopoulos here. Thanks for checking out the ABC News YouTube channel. If you'd like to get more videos, show highlights, and watch live event coverage, click on the right over here to subscribe to our channel. And don't forget to download the ABC News app for breaking news alerts. Thanks for watching.